Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we are tackling generative AI in the enterprise, trying to get beyond all the hype to see what's actually happening in 2024. Our guide for this is going to be a new report from Menlo Ventures. They're a venture capital firm and, as you can imagine, pretty deeply embedded in the world of AI. What's really cool about this report is that they surveyed 600 U.S. enterprise IT decision makers. So we're getting insights straight from the source. The folks who are actually making the decisions about AI adoption. So by the end of this deep dive, you should be able to walk into any meeting about enterprise AI and sound like you know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, let's hope so. It's definitely a fascinating time to be watching this space. And I think the Menlo report confirms what a lot of us have been seeing out there, which is that 2024 is really the year that generative AI went from, kind of a cool experiment to a real business necessity.
Okay, so it's not just me constantly refreshing my AI newsfeed. There's some real substance behind all the buzz. But how do we know that companies are really serious about this? Is it just talk, or are they actually putting their money where their algorithms are?
Well, the money definitely tells the story. Enterprise AI spending hit a staggering $13.8 billion this year. That's more than 6 times what it was in 2023. So clearly, businesses are putting their money where their AI algorithms are.
6 times? Wow, that's a massive jump. It sounds like the era of pilot projects is officially over.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes beyond just increased spending. We're also seeing a change in how companies are budgeting for AI. Last year, the majority of AI spending came from innovation budgets. Those are typically for, trying out new things. But this year, 40% of the spending is coming from more permanent budget allocations. This tells us that AI is becoming a core business function. It's becoming integrated into the way companies operate.
So it's becoming less of a nice to have and more of a need to have for businesses to stay competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, integrating a transformative technology like AI isn't always smooth sailing. The Menlo report also reveals that, a lot of companies are still in the early stages of figuring out how to effectively implement AI across their organization.
That makes sense. It's like having this incredible new power tool.
Yeah.
But you're not entirely sure how to use it to its full potential.
Exactly. So while there's a ton of excitement and investment, there's also a learning curve involved.
All right, let's dive into some specifics. The Menlo report breaks down where companies are actually using generative AI today. So where's all this AI investment going?
One of the most significant areas is in software development. We're seeing widespread adoption of what are called code co-pilots. These are AI assistants like GitHub Copilot that help developers write and debug code faster and more efficiently.
So AI is becoming the developer's new best friend.
You could say that. Over half of the companies surveyed are using AI-powered coding tools, and that number is only going to grow.
And it's not just about making developers' lives easier, right? I mean, these tools have the potential to really speed up software development cycles, improve code quality, and ultimately deliver better products to customers.
Precisely. And this trend of AI automating tasks extends beyond coding. Think about customer support, for example. AI-powered chatbots are now handling a significant portion of customer interactions, offering 24/7 support, and freeing up human agents to tackle more complex issues.
No more waiting on hold for hours just to reset a password. That's a win for everyone.
Absolutely. And these chatbots are getting smarter all the time. Thanks to advancements in natural language processing, they can understand customer inquiries, provide relevant information, and even resolve simple issues without human intervention.
It sounds like AI is taking over the more routine tasks, allowing human workers to focus on the things that require creativity, empathy, and complex problem solving.
Exactly. And this shift is happening across various departments, not just customer support. For example, in marketing, AI is helping personalize customer experiences, optimize campaigns, and even generate content. In finance, it's streamlining processes like invoice processing and fraud detection. The applications are really quite diverse.
So AI is becoming more of a general-purpose tool, not just something confined to the tech department.
That's a great observation. And this brings us to one of the most interesting trends highlighted in the Menlo report, the emergence of what they call AI agents.
Okay, now you got my attention. What are AI agents, and why are they so significant?
Well, these are essentially software programs that can manage complex tasks or processes independently without direct human input. So imagine an AI that can handle your entire financial back office workflow, from processing invoices to reconciling accounts, all without needing someone to manually check every step.
Whoa, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But this is actually happening now.
It is, and it's not just limited to back office tasks. We're already seeing AI agents being used in areas like go-to-market strategy, sales automation, and even healthcare diagnostics.
Okay, so we've got companies building their own AI solutions, and we've got vendors offering pre-built tools. So if a company wants to get in on the AI action, should they build or buy?
That's a question a lot of companies are grappling with right now. In 2023, the vast majority relied on vendors for their AI software. But this year, it's almost a 50-50 split. More companies are feeling confident enough to build their own AI tools in-house.
Wow, that's a pretty significant shift. What's driving this trend?
Well, there are a few factors at play. First, the tools and technologies for building AI are becoming more accessible, making it easier for companies to develop their own solutions. Second, there's a growing demand for customization. Companies want AI tools that are specifically tailored to their unique needs and workflows, which they may not find in off-the-shelf solutions.
So it's not just about finding the cheapest solution, it's about finding the one that's the best fit for the job.
Exactly, and it's about playing the long game. Companies are increasingly looking for AI solutions that deliver measurable return on investment. They want to know that this technology is going to make a real difference to their bottom line.
It sounds like companies are becoming more strategic about how they approach AI adoption. They're not just jumping on the bandwagon. They're thinking carefully about how to make AI a valuable asset to their business. But are there any downsides to all this AI enthusiasm?
Of course. AI implementation can be complex and resource-intensive. Companies sometimes underestimate the costs and effort involved in integrating AI effectively. There can be data privacy hurdles to overcome, especially in industries with strict regulations. And then there's the issue of what are called hallucinations, which is when AI systems generate incorrect or nonsensical output. That can really erode trust in AI and derail projects if companies aren't careful.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, how can you trust an AI to handle important tasks
Sure.
if it's prone to making up facts or spitting out gibberish?
Exactly. So while there's tremendous potential, there are also real challenges to overcome. Companies need to approach AI adoption strategically, with a clear understanding of both the benefits and the risks.
All right, so we've talked about the excitement, the investment, and some of the challenges of adopting AI. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the technology itself. We've been throwing around terms like multi-model strategies and RAG. Can you break those down for us, non-AI experts?
Absolutely. So multi-model strategies simply means that companies aren't relying on just one AI model for everything. They're using different models from different providers, choosing the best tool for each specific job.
So kind of like a chef using different knives for different tasks. You wouldn't use a butcher knife to peel an apple.
Exactly. And RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, is a technique for making AI systems more accurate and context-aware. It combines the power of large language models, or LLMs as they're often called, with external knowledge sources. Think of it like this. An LLM is like a student who's learned a lot from textbooks, but it might not have real-world experience. RAG is like giving that student access to a library so they can research and back up their answers with credible sources.
Okay, that's a great analogy. So RAG helps AI systems go beyond just generating text. It allows them to actually understand the context and provide more informative responses.
Right. And to make RAG work effectively, you need a specialized type of database called a vector database.
Yes, the vector databases. I've heard those are becoming a big deal in the AI world. Why is that?
Well, traditional databases are designed to store structured data, things like numbers and dates. But AI often works with unstructured data, things like text, images, and audio. And to make sense of that kind of data, you need to represent it mathematically as what are called vectors. Vector databases are specifically designed to handle these vectors, making it much easier to search and retrieve information in a way that's relevant to AI applications.
So it's like having a librarian who can understand not just the titles of the books, but also their contents and how they relate to each other.
That's a great way to put it. These vector databases are essential for RAG because they allow AI systems to quickly access relevant information from external sources, making their responses more accurate and insightful.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. We've got multi-model strategies, RAG, vector databases, it's all starting to click. Seems like the modern AI stack is evolving at an incredible pace. So what does all this innovation mean for the future of enterprise AI? I know the Menlo report had some interesting predictions.
They did. Their first prediction is that AI agents are going to drive the next wave of transformation in the enterprise.
We talked about AI agents earlier. These are the ones that can handle complex processes independently, right?
Exactly. And Menlo Ventures believes they're going to become even more powerful and sophisticated, taking on even more complex tasks and potentially disrupting entire industries.
Can you give us some specific examples of how that might play out?
Sure. Imagine an AI agent that manages your entire supply chain, optimizing logistics, predicting demand, and even negotiating with suppliers. Or an AI agent that handles customer service interactions, resolving issues proactively identifying customer needs, and personalizing the experience for each individual.
So we're talking about a future where AI is not just assisting humans, but actually taking over entire roles and responsibilities.
In some cases, yes, and that leads to Menlo Ventures' second prediction. More incumbent companies are going to fall to AI-native startups.
It's like David versus Goliath, but with algorithms instead of slingshots.
Exactly. We've already seen examples of this happening. Chegg, a well-established educational platform, was disrupted by an AI-powered tutor. Stack Overflow, a popular site for developers, saw traffic decline as developers turned to AI tools for coding help.
So companies that are slow to adapt to this AI revolution risk being overtaken by more nimble and innovative competitors.
That's the takeaway. Startups often have a few advantages. They're more agile, they're more willing to experiment, and they're often led by people who deeply understand the power of AI.
It's almost like they speak the language of AI natively, while those larger companies are still trying to learn the vocabulary.
That's a good analogy. And that brings us to Menlo Ventures' third prediction. The AI talent drought is only going to get worse.
Yeah, I've heard about this shortage of AI experts. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
And it's only going to become more challenging. As demand for AI skills continues to skyrocket, companies are competing fiercely for a limited pool of talent, driving up salaries and making it difficult to find and retain qualified professionals.
So if you're a data scientist or an AI engineer, you're basically holding a golden ticket right now.
Pretty much. And it's not just about technical skills. Companies are also looking for people who understand how to apply AI in a business context, who can translate technical jargon into actionable insights, and who can think strategically about how AI can be used to solve real-world problems.
So it's not enough to just be an AI whiz. You also need to be a good communicator, a strategic thinker, and a problem solver.
Exactly. The future of work is going to require a blend of technical expertise and human skills. It's not just about automation, it's about augmentation, using AI to enhance human capabilities and unlock new levels of creativity and innovation.
Okay, I'm feeling like my brain is overflowing with information. We've covered so much ground, from the practical applications of AI to the cutting-edge trends shaping the modern AI stack. And it's clear that generative AI is no longer a futuristic fantasy. It's a force that's transforming the enterprise landscape at lightning speed. But what does this all mean for us, the non-AI experts, trying to navigate this brave new world?
That's a great question, and it's something we're all going to have to grapple with. As AI becomes more deeply embedded in our lives, it's not just about understanding the technology, it's about understanding its impact on our work, our society, and our future.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around. I think it's time to take a deep breath and process all this information. When we come back, we'll wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts, and maybe even a few predictions of our own.
Sounds good. Let's take a moment to digest all this AI goodness.
Welcome back to the deep dive, folks. Hope you had a chance to grab a coffee or, step away from the screen for a minute and process all that AI goodness. We left off talking about how the enterprise AI landscape is rapidly evolving, and frankly, it can be a little overwhelming to keep up with all the changes. So let's try to distill some key takeaways from everything we've discussed so far. What's the big picture here? What are the most important things for business leaders to understand about generative AI right now?
Well, I think one of the key takeaways is that this isn't just a technology trend. It's a fundamental shift in how businesses operate. Generative AI has the potential to impact every aspect of the enterprise, from product development to customer service to back office operations.
So it's not just about automating tasks or making things a bit more efficient.
Right. It's about reimagining what's possible and fundamentally changing the way we create value.
I think that's a really important point because it's easy to get caught up in the hype and focus on the technology itself, but ultimately it's about the business outcomes. How can AI help us solve real problems, create better products and services, and deliver more value to our customers?
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial for companies to approach AI adoption strategically. It's not about just throwing money at the latest shiny AI tool. It's about understanding the business needs, identifying the right use cases, and building a robust AI strategy that aligns with the overall business goals.
So it's kind of like building a house. You wouldn't start by just buying a bunch of fancy appliances. You need a blueprint, a foundation, and a clear vision for what you want to create.
Exactly. And just like building a house, Implementing AI successfully requires careful planning, execution, and ongoing maintenance.
Speaking of maintenance,
Yeah.
one of the things that struck me in the Menlo report was how much emphasis they put on the importance of data. They argue that data is the fuel that powers AI, and that companies need to invest in building robust data pipelines if they want to truly unlock the potential of AI.
Absolutely. You can't have good AI without good data. It's like trying to run a car without gasoline. The quality of your data directly impacts the performance of your AI systems. So companies need to make sure they have clean, accurate, and well-organized data.
And it's not just about the quantity of data, it's also about the quality and relevance.
Right, you need data that is relevant to the specific problems you're trying to solve, and you need to make sure it's representative of the real world. Otherwise, your AI systems may end up making biased or inaccurate predictions.
So it's not just a matter of collecting as much data as possible. It's about being strategic about what data you collect, how you organize it, and how you ensure its quality and integrity.
Exactly. Data is the foundation of AI. And companies that invest in building a strong data foundation will be in a much better position to leverage the power of AI effectively.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of strategy, the need for good data, and the potential impact of AI on different business functions. But there's another critical aspect we need to discuss, and that's the human element. How do we prepare the workforce for the future of work in an AI-powered world?
That's a crucial question, and one that a lot of companies are still trying to figure out. I think one of the biggest challenges is addressing the fear and uncertainty that many people feel about AI.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about AI taking jobs.
Yeah.
And it's understandable that people are worried about the future.
Absolutely. But I think it's important to remember that AI is not just about automation. It's also about augmentation. Using AI to enhance human capabilities and create new opportunities.
So instead of replacing humans, AI can actually empower them to do their jobs better.
Exactly. Think about it. AI can take over repetitive or mundane tasks, freeing up humans to focus on more creative, strategic, and value-adding activities.
So it's not about humans versus machines. It's about humans and machines working together.
Exactly. The key is to find the right balance and to ensure that humans are in the driver's seat.
I like that analogy. AI is a powerful tool, but ultimately it's up to humans to decide how to use it.
Exactly. And that means investing in education and training to help people develop the skills they need to thrive in an AI-powered workplace.
So what kinds of skills are we talking about?
Well, it's not just about technical skills, although those are certainly important. It's also about things like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and communication.
These are the skills that will set humans apart from machines.
Exactly. These are the skills that will allow humans to leverage the power of AI while also bringing their own unique human qualities to the table.
I think that's a really important point, because ultimately the success of AI adoption will depend on how well we can integrate it with human intelligence.
I couldn't agree more. It's not about replacing humans with machines. It's about creating a future where humans and machines work together to achieve greater things than either could alone.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the world of enterprise AI. We've talked about the incredible potential of generative AI to transform businesses, but we've also acknowledged the very real challenges and risks that come with it. As we wrap things up, I'd love to hear your take on what all of this means for the average person, the folks who aren't data scientists or AI engineers. How will this AI revolution impact their lives and their careers?
That's a great question, and I think it's one that's on a lot of people's minds these days. We hear so much about AI taking jobs and automating everything, but I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It all depends on how we choose to use it.
So it's not about fearing AI, it's about understanding its potential and its limitations.
Exactly. I think the key is to focus on developing the skills that will complement AI, rather than trying to compete with it.
What kind of skills are we talking about?
Well, we talked earlier about the importance of things like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and communication. These are the skills that will always be in demand, regardless of how advanced AI becomes.
Because these are uniquely human skills, the things that machines can't replicate.
Exactly. And I think it's also important to be adaptable and willing to learn new things. The AI landscape is changing so rapidly that the skills that are in demand today might be obsolete tomorrow.
So it's about lifelong learning.
Absolutely. And it's about embracing change and seeing it as an opportunity, not a threat.
I think that's a really powerful message. And it's one that I hope our listeners will take to heart. The future of work is going to be different. But it doesn't have to be scary if we approach it with a positive mindset and a willingness to adapt.
Well said. I couldn't agree more.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of enterprise AI. I want to thank our expert for sharing their insights with us today. And I want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this journey. As always, we encourage you to stay curious, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve, because the future is here and is powered by AI